Hello, everyone. Welcome to After Duty Vets, where we discuss what life is like after the military. Hello, everybody. It's Bo. Today I want to talk about, family and moving home after you're done from your military service. A lot of us, we're in the military and we try to figure out whether we want to go home or whether we want to stay where we're at or whether we found a place we wanted to live and, we went, had another assignment or whatever. But we always struggle with whether we should go home or not. So I want to talk a little bit about that. A lot of times it depends on how long you were in the military. If you were in the military for 4 years, then you're more likely to go home. But if you spent 20 years gone from home, you're more likely to stay where you're at or where you can where you can find a job. But one thing that needs to be approached is we love our families, but sometimes they're a major part of our stress. And, you really don't realize it until you get away from it. Then you get out and you're going like, man, do I really want to go back to all that drama? And you have to ask yourself, is that really what I want to do in my life, is go back there and do the same thing I was doing when I left? We all have reasons for going back, and just, think about why do you want to go back and why you want to go back. A lot of people feel judged when they go back home, and they don't want their families knowing what they've had to do, especially combat. So, a lot of it is feeling of being judged. People think that you should talk to them because you were gone, especially if you're in a small town. You still have those people you went to high school with, ex-girlfriends, all that good stuff. You still have those people, you have to worry about them judging you for what you have had to do or their assumptions of what you have had to do. You have to struggle with the decision based off of your own guilt or shame. Should I go back because my parents are there? Should I go back because my brother's there, my whole family's there? Do I really want to go back? Do I need to go back? And sometimes your family guilts you into moving back and it's not what you want. Or they shame you to move back and it's really not what you want. So you have to figure that out. I have a friend of mine that I went back and I haven't seen in probably 30 years. Okay, I went to school with him. We were good buddies. We hung out together. And I went back and I saw him and he was still doing the same stuff he was doing when I left. He was still doing the exact same stuff I left. Nothing wrong with it. He just hadn't really grown. He hadn't left the area. He hadn't traveled. And he told me one of the things that he'd like to do is come to California to see some of the car stuff that we've got going out here. And I live in California now. So, it's just like, okay, that's down the street. Okay, no big deal. Oh, there's a big car show. Okay, I'll go to that, But he's still doing the same thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's made a decent living for himself. He's got a house. He's got a family. He's got everything he wants. But he's still doing the same stuff he was doing when I left. And the question you got to ask yourself is, do you want to go back there to that? Because you've grown. You're a different person than when you went in. When you left that town or city or whatever to go in, you're a totally different person now. You have totally different views, ways of looking at things. You've traveled the world. You've seen different cultures. You've seen what it's like to live in poverty a lot of times. You see what it's like to have nothing. And then you go back there and people complain about living in poverty, and you've been in places to where they don't even have running water. Or they don't even have, and there are some places in the United States that still don't have running water, but as a general rule, we do. But we're talking about whole areas that don't have running water, don't have internet access, don't have any facilities. And then they think that they're in poverty. Things are different when you look at them, from a different perspective. A lot of times when you go back home, you have no job opportunities. You have the contacts, but you don't have the job opportunities because a lot of times you left because there were no job opportunities. So it's one of those things to where, why do you want to go back? If you got a job opportunity somewhere where you're at, why not stay there? That's just a decision that you're going to have to make later on down the road or when you get out. A lot of times your political views have changed because you look at things differently. And you go back home and the political views are different from people and you just don't want to be involved with it. You get compared to Uncle Bob who was in Vietnam and you're an Iraqi veteran. Well, there's two totally different things. Two totally different wars, totally different fights, but you get compared to them. well, he got over his PTSD. Why'd you? No, he never got over his PTSD because he never got help. That's why he's over there sitting in the corner, because he never got help, and that's really a harsh way to look at it, but it's the truth, because it was the veterans of today that's made it okay for them to get help. So finally, they're starting to get help. I've had at least 10 Vietnam veterans on my caseload that finally decided to get help because today's veterans made it okay for them to get that help. Yes, Uncle Bob has done everything that he can. He's been successful. He's lived his life. He's had his family. He's had, everything he's wanted. He's made his life and he's happy with his life. And that's fine. But maybe Uncle Bob could have been so much more if he had gotten the help. And I'm not knocking Vietnam veterans for not getting help. I don't blame them. I probably wouldn't have gotten help either because of the stigma attached to it. And nobody understood Vietnam. And you're scared you're going to be judged. I get it. One thing that a lot of people don't realize is the criteria for PTSD was established using Vietnam veterans. So PTSD wasn't even a thing back then. So, I'm not beating up on Vietnam veterans. I respect you guys more than you ever know. But it's just one of those things. You can't compare today's veterans to the older veterans. When you think about going back home too, you need to look at why you left. Why did you leave? And we talked about that earlier in one of the earlier videos. Why did you leave? Are you going back to the same thing as to why you left? So you need to consider that and think about that when you're thinking about going back home. Like I said before, sometimes the stressors are your own family. A lot of times, why did you leave? You love your family, but sometimes they're a big stressor. And a lot of times you don't have the services in certain areas. If you get out and you get a disability from the VA, there's usually a VA around military bases or some type of services. But when you're from a small town, there's no services around. And you either have to travel a long ways or use something else for your services. So anyway, just a few more things to think about. And about your getting out and trying to move back home. And if you're one of the older veterans and you've been out, think about some of this stuff just think about some of it and see if you've made decisions based off of this stuff. Because again, that makes you who you are. So I hope you have the life you deserve, and I hope to see you later in the next video. Thank you. Disclaimer. I'm a licensed mental health therapist in California. If you're searching for mental health help, please reach out to someone in your state. If you are within California, you can reach me at the email below. And if you're interested in coaching anywhere in the United States, you can reach out below also. These videos are for educational purposes only, and if you're thinking about suicide, please reach out and call 911.